Hi guys, welcome back to BMS the Pod. I'm your host Odun Ayo. Did I even introduce myself before?
I think you did.
And I'm here with Okwe.
Wagwan, guys.
Uh Below.
What's guani?
Anyway, today I actually wanted to touch on a topic. I don't think Okwe is gonna like this one, like the last one.
Wow.
But it's supposed to be, in his opinion, is a Twitter topic. But I'm trying to approach it from a different perspective.
Okay.
Right. So
I already know where this is going.
okay, what do you think?
Oh, I'll let you run.
Okay, my question is: do you think that men should be providers?
No,
Okay, who do you think should provide?
it's our family. We should both provide.
Okay, okay. Why do you think that men are expected to provide?
Because of traditional values and traditional views, basically,
Okay,
is why people expect the men to be providers. But that is not the society that we live in anymore.
okay. So you're a 50-50 guy.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I think it's our household. We both need to take care of this. It's not feasible for a man to be the sole provider in a house where he has just the basics, two kids. As I say, two kids. Realistically, people have more than two kids now. You want him to take care of the house, and
Put your mic closer.
you want him to take care of the house and
Provide.
be provider. Like that's just not feasible.
So when you say take care of the house, like what do you think a
Like
man's role would be?
providing like every like income, whatever it is, like for his kids to like go to school. Let's for example, he would two kids going to school, tuition.
You're in the UK.
Okay, but still, some people still have to pay for school. Even
So would you want to take your kids to private school?
I went to public school and I still had to pay for it sometimes in Ireland.
Okay. In the UK, you don't. I don't think it's free for public school unless you want to go private.
I'm pretty sure there was some element of payments that you'd have to do.
Uniforms.
Uniforms, yeah, just those type of things. Uniforms, books for both kids, food for both kids to take to school, even just a bit of pocket money for them to like have, paying your bills. All is that supposed to come out of my 60K salary?
I think the issue is, men were expected to provide from like the beginning of time because providing had to do with physical strength. Like obviously men are naturally taller than women, stronger than women, had to fucking kill a goats or whatnot, like go to the farm and exert physical energy to farm for food. So I think it was more expected for a man to go out in the farm, for example, to get food for his partner, and also in the case of like providing, and protecting, it's like in those ages you had to be protected from some shit, and it makes sense that it's the bigger and stronger one that's not going to be carrying the baby should go out and or like face whatever um danger
Yeah.
is coming on to his family. You're restless. You're mad
just,
restless.
I'm all over the place.
Can you move a little bit to the sides,
To the left now. What side?
like that side? Because I feel like it's only
No. Oh.
yeah.
Hi.
But yeah, so I think that that's where it came from. But as a society, we're so far removed from that. Like you can literally make money from your couch, your bedroom. Actually, you don't even have to get out of bed. Like people can make money from home. Um, and I do think that a man should strive to provide for his family, like solely, because just bearing in mind the fact that you're not going to be the one responsible for expanding the family. Like that's not your responsibility. So I feel like a man should strive to do that. And I don't think is impossible. I don't think is not feasible, like you said. I think it is possible. I think it is possible, but it's not. I feel like a lot of men get relaxed. It's like if you know.
How do you think it's? Why do you think it's possible?
because there's a certain level of like grind you should have
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of men don't. Do you agree with me on that?
Yeah, fair.
Exactly. So it's like you cannot say that it's impossible when you haven't even tried, or
Mm-hmm.
like you haven't even and even if you don't think it's possible, it should still be a goal. And the thing is, if you have it as a goal, then you would try to make a way to reach your goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would give the example of when I asked you to help me take out the chair or the couch in the living room, and you looked at it and it's like, no, it's stuck together, it's impossible. Of course, if you think it's impossible, you're not even gonna attempt it. And I'm like, duh, like it's a narrow door and a big couch. How do you think it got in here in the first place?
Okay, fair.
So it's like you had to break it apart and like, try and see how this is going to be possible. And I feel like for every man that should be the goal, because you're never going to be responsible for actually carrying the child that needs to be provided for. And you don't know what changes would come of the woman that of the woman that actually does that. That aside, there's also the aspect of like women's careers. Like, say for example, we have the same job.
Mm.
Pregnancy has slowed down a lot of women, like having to take so much time off work because your body needs it, and then coming back is never going to be the same. Like, you've missed like months, and also trying to get promotions and stuff like that. And obviously now companies are becoming more inclusive, but there's also a lot of companies that don't exactly make room or see well, maybe in other countries even more, see hiring a woman as more of a, what's the word? Uh,
Diversity hire.
like a risky hire,
Okay.
because it's like, especially if she's married or she's having kids or she's a mom, it's like her loyalty or her heart is always going to be with her kids.
But that's where, like in those moments, that's when the man needs to step up.
Mm-hmm.
But in the moments when the kid's already here, they're already like 3 or 4, and
Mm-hmm.
you're gone back to work,
Mm-hmm.
am I then supposed to? Is the man then supposed to continue being the provider for like the whole family, even though she's here and her income is basically just her income and doesn't go to anything, or say it goes to bills and that's it,
Mm-hmm.
for example. But then my income would be the one that would go to rent. It would go to, or let's say not rent, let's say mortgage. It would go to bills. It would go to like raising the kids, and then it would also be savings as well, and then holidays, for example. Like
I'm
where the,
talking about needs, just needs. But I think a man should be able to provide everything his family needs. Like the want,
every family needs a holiday. I'm not going. I'm not. I
there's different levels. There's levels to holiday. Like you can take them to Cambridge for a drive. But what I'm trying to say is like their necessities, like their actual necessities. Like you can space out holidays for as long as you want. Maybe save up for it for however long you want. But I feel like the things that the family needs that he should be able to provide. And you're saying that, okay, what if she starts going back or she goes back to work or whatnot? And I feel like for women, kids would still demand a lot from you, regardless of how long ago you've had them. Like being a mother, it rarely ever stops. Do you get what I mean? It's different for men, because even in society, a lot of men, they would walk away from the responsibility without batting an eye. But it's a lot more difficult. Like the ratio of a woman giving up a child or just not being there for them, even though some of them would resent them, but they're still there. There's still a lot that a child demands from their mum, regardless of the age that they're at. Like if they're sick or if they just need comfort or whatnot, it's like, yeah, women are required or expected from society, not just required. And yeah, their kids still need them to a certain extent. And that aside, we talk about chores, right? I feel like it's usually rarely ever split evenly, like with
mm,
husband and wife. So it's like, yeah, that's just the more reason why it's a responsibility for the man.
I get what you mean,
Hmm.
but I guess for me, it all boils down to the fact that I'm marrying a partner, not not.
Yeah, but then are you going to be a partner?
Of
Because
course.
I'm saying like the chores are going to be the same. Like, are you
See,
going
that's
to?
that's where there's certain rules that I'll be taxed with. Like for
Mhm.
example, no woman ever takes out a bin. That's basically the man's rule.
Mhm.
That will continue to happen. That will. But she'll more than likely have to do something with the kids. Let's say get them dressed, for example. But
She would have to.
not have to, because me as the parent that I want to be involved in my kids' lives. I want them to see me like be involved and be there. Like I want them to see me and my wife loving on each other, so that they can see that that's how a relationship should be. Like we need to change the 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 Nigerian ref, the ref that us
But
Yoruba men
Nigerian
have
dads.
have is literally the gutter. So I want to change all of that for and that change by like laying the examples for my kids to be able to see that, and by having a partner and basically like my best friend.
Yeah, but then you're saying stuff like she has to take care of the kids.
Not has
Like
to.
I've spoken about the chores, right? And you've spoken about the bin. Aside from the bin,
I see. I will do some cooking. Like I can cook.
okay.
I'm not gonna like let my wife do all the
It's not
cooking.
just like you can do stuff, right? Because a lot of times, yes, you can do it. But I feel like even with the divorce rates now, it happens because a lot of women are having to provide just as much as the man, but physical exertion of the household work,
But
the
that's
household planning. Like, it's not just about to cook the food, it's about making sure all the ingredients are actually in the kitchen,
yeah.
making sure what the kids have their preferences, like everybody's preferences there, making sure that the food is actually nutritious for the kids, doctor's appointments, like being aware of like all the intricacies of each child and being able to show up for them in the way that each of them need. I feel like that's a role that a lot of men do not understand. And
Because a mother is more nurturing and they tend to be better at that role. But I want to be present. I want to be there. Like I want my wife to be able to like. I need help with this. Like we'll be able
I
to
don't
talk
think
about.
she should. I think that's the issue. She shouldn't have to
She
ask.
shouldn't have to ask. Yeah, I completely get that. But
I'm thirsty.
she shouldn't have to ask. But we also get understand that men don't always see things like that. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to see. I feel like I'm very like I can see things like my eyes work, so I will see that my wife is struggling, and I will be like I want to help you, like I will help you. But
Okay.
a lot of the time it's probably down to like, oh, we haven't been asked, so we're not gonna say.
Okay.
But that's when you just have to know your wife basically and be like, I can see that she's struggling, but she hasn't asked for help. I'm gonna help her because she's probably not going to ask for help. I'm gonna do like, oh, babe, chill, you're doing too much. Let me take the kids to their appointments. Let me take the kids to school. I'll drop them off in school today. You just go take longer to do your makeup, for example. I'll like that's where me being like present and being visual and seeing, oh, that my like seeing that your best friend is slightly struggling and you're not gonna help. Like, come on, that's where we as men have to be better. And I feel like that's me. So that's my own.
I enjoy what you just said and the fact that you keep saying help. Like you're gonna help because that's her role. That's her duty. You're just going to help. So do you see where the problem is?
What else do you want me to say?
Because is she helping you pay the bills or are you guys paying the bills together? So are you helping her do the chores or you guys are doing the chores together? Do you see what I mean now?
Yes.
Exactly. Look of guilt.
Yes.
Like, yes. That's what I mean. It's not, you can't say that you're helping a woman because you should both have inventory. And I don't think women have some sixth sense where they tend to know what this or what. It's from experience. It's from experience. It's from doing it over and over again. It's like when you find out your child has an allergy, you probably it's probably one of the scariest things that's happened because you've just given them something. You don't know how they're going to react to it. And now you're panicking. And obviously from that moment, he's traumatized you enough to remember never to do that again and to warn your child to stay away from stuff like that. And even like with, or maybe they're allergic to, or maybe they have like mild allergies like a rash about this, or maybe they just don't like this or they don't like that. That's not something that a woman can see. That's something that you know from spending time with your child. So regardless of you saying that, oh, I want to be present, is there's difference between wanting to be present and being present enough to notice those things and going to or like, oh, let me take the kids to doctor's appointment today. Uh, what do you mean? Let me take them today. Like, it should be a split thing. It shouldn't even be a thing of like, let me help you do this today. It should
See,
just be like
you're
naturally
just
split.
like picking out what I've said. Obviously, it's
But
not
then
going to be
it's
like
the fact
today.
that
It's going to be
you're
like
thinking is you're helping her, because if you're talking about partnership, then the roles are not split until you guys decide what the split is. Do you get what I mean? So if she's even getting to the point where she's overwhelmed, then that means it hasn't been split accordingly. So that's what I mean. It's like if you say that men and women should both provide, then you're not, like a lot of men, they don't take into account of the fact that they also need to split the chores down in the middle if you want that 50-50. Like, because a lot of men are not like present in that way. Like they never really understand what actually goes into running a household, like what actually goes into being able to nurture everybody. And that's why they say a lot of women that are not married are happier than the ones that are married, because it's like you're having the whole world like just hanging on your shoulders. And then to think about the fact that women are trained to put their needs beneath everybody else's, and to take care of everybody else rather than themselves. So it's like it's I feel like with a lot of women, if they said, because I was watching a video yesterday, and the question was, if you they asked the man, if you were ill, like who would you want to take care of you? And he's like, oh, my wife, obviously. And for a lot of women, it's like they wouldn't want their partner to be the one taking care of them, because they just don't see them as like caring enough to take care of them, because a lot of men also are raised to believe that women are supposed to be in their service. Does that make sense? So it's like they just naturally expect women to do that. And if she's naturally expected to take care of you, and you're naturally, or you've been raised to think that you need to make some money and do some stuff around the house and you're good, then she's still going to always have to be picking up more tasks than you are in the household, than and that you would imagine.
I think this is where it comes down to how you're raised. Because in my house, like I can thank God for my mom. She split. She made sure she split. I'm a twin, so she made sure she split roles within the house between me and my twin fairly and evenly. Actually, maybe it wasn't even fair. She gave me all of downstairs. She gave him all of upstairs. So I washed dishes from I washed dishes from when I was 13 to when I was 18.
Yeah, I hate doing dishes now. But even with me, like, was it like last week or so? My mom still told me, she was trying to get somebody to do something in the house, and I was like, I was literally free. I'm working, and she's like, well, don't be telling me to ask your brother to do stuff, because he's a man and he's going to have a woman do stuff for him. And even when one of the boys had a girl over, and he wanted to go get her food, my mom was like, "Oh, tell her to come and get the food by herself." And it's like, she's a guest, mom. Like, she really still believes that
Gender
women are
roles.
just supposed to be of service to men. And I'm working. Them motherfuckers are not. I'm actually the one that's making money here, but I'm still expected to still make the money and serve, right? So I feel like there's a gap there that I think the world is changing. Obviously, my mom, she wanted to study mass communication at uni, but she was a woman. So, and I feel like back in her age, they weren't paying as much attention to females' education. And also my aunt, she also had her reasons why she couldn't graduate secondary school. But even up until recently, because I lived with my aunt for a while, and I remember we're taking exams, was GCSE, I had maths the next day. And she came home and she did some cooking, and she was like, oh, it was like nighttime. And I was awake, but I was awake because I was planning to study overnight, because I had exams the next morning. The boys were sleeping. Um, so she came in. I think she was meeting somebody at the hospital because somebody was giving birth. So she came in, she cooked for them, and she went back to the hospital, right? And she said I should clean up before I go, like, because I was awake. I should help her clean up. Anyway, I went into the kitchen. dishes everywhere. Like she made a mala, and I'm like, bruh, I don't have time for this shit. I have exams the next morning, right? So I left it and I went to school and I went to take my exam. And then the way she spoke to me for doing that, for prioritizing my education over some household chores, it was almost like, you're not going to use this degree, like it's just for decoration. Basically, it's just so you can say that your wife is educated, that kind of thing. And I feel like in my household I've always been made to feel like, you know, I yeah, like the men, you're going to serve, you're going to grow up to serve a man. Like I was always told that, I think it was a saying, growing up, you would hear that, what's that saying? Behind every successful man is a strong woman. So I think subconsciously I was sort of priming myself to be that strong woman behind a successful man. But then when you now start,
That will never run in my house. I'm sorry.
yeah, but that I'm saying, like, the difference between how we were raised, how women are raised
Yeah.
versus how men are raised. And it's like you're saying that will not run in your household, but that's for future kids. That's the next generation. I'm talking about this current generation that have always believed that, you know, they have to support a man's dreams and all that stuff while putting theirs in the back
Yeah,
burner.
I wouldn't even find like that is not a partner to me. Like if you feel like you're just going to be a strong woman behind me, that's
You're saying that that's not a partner, but I'm talking about how women have been raised. And even though we're trying to shift away from that now, it's still engraved in a lot of women, right? There are a lot of women that are very brilliant, but they get into these relationships, or they expect us to get into relationships, and they expect it to build a man. Do you get what I mean? It happens a lot. Like, you can't tell me you haven't seen a girl like trying to support a man's dreams, whether or not the dream is not dreaming, or just like putting her hopes in a man and hoping that, and sort of like prioritizing his success because, you know, she's with her man, she wants him to be successful, and it's this never really like flipped. And it's never really reversed onto the woman, like where a man is like prioritizing. Yes, a lot of men will be like, yeah, they will encourage their partners and all that stuff, but where is the room to, like, for her to grow? If she's worried about you, if she's like trying to focus on why you're doing certain things a certain way, or like, or what you're doing wrong, and having to like remind you of things that you should be doing right, then she's taking away her focus from herself and her goals and her careers, and she's focused on you. Like, I feel like that happens a lot in our generation. And so getting a wife from this generation, I think men should be more conscious of their partners, conscious of their aspirations, like conscious of their partners having their own life outside of being a wife and a mother. And I feel like if you're not doing that, then you should, or if you don't think you can do that, then you should prioritize becoming a sole provider. Like, it's either one or the other. You cannot choose to either be a sole provider or like, maybe I'll do something in the house. No, it has to be, you have to be very intentional about splitting the responsibilities if you do want your partner to participate in like making an income or bringing an income into the household. Because yeah, that's one of the causes, one of the leading causes of divorces.
damn, that's deep. That's deep. That is deep.
But yeah, what has it been like in your relationships? Like, have you always dated women that made more money than you, or sometimes not?
Um, I have dated women I think that have made more money than me.
How's that made you feel?
Um, honestly, not great. Not great. But it's more not. It's not in like a sense of, oh, she's earning more than me and like I feel like less of a man, but more of I'm not able to do what I want to do because I'm earning less money. So
What you want to do in what, like an
say
example?
for example, like I wanted to like book a flight. For example, like realistically, when I wanted to like go on holidays, I would realistically want to book the flight for me and her to go together, and I would pay for her flight essentially to come and book the hotel room that is going to be us there, and that extra like flight, for example, or whatever, or that would be like that's kind of where I'm like, oh, that's kind of breaking like
The bank.
that's breaking the bank now, and that's where I'm like, oh, I feel less than because I can't do the things that I want to do
For your partner.
for my partner, or I like to give gifts, and not being able to like go as lavish on the gifts that I'd want to gift because I'm just like I'm not earning to that like extent that I want to be. So I'm just like I don't know. That has made me like maybe like actually, you know, I think I've actually ended a relationship because of it,
Because you feel
because I
like
just
you're
felt like
not.
I wasn't doing enough that I should be, and I felt like yeah I'm just basically not I felt like I need to like go back and like get myself to where I needed to be able to then be with a girl, but
So you felt pressured.
I it wasn't of pressure because it wasn't the pressure wasn't coming from her. The pressure was coming from myself.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't like, oh, you're
You need to make more
like you
money.
need to make money. She was actually the very opposite. She was just like, we're fine. Like we'll get there.
Yeah.
But I just felt less than myself. I guess it's probably society and societal pressures. But a lot of guys think that they need to be at a certain level before they can finally go for the girl, which is I genuinely believe that. I see a lot of people saying like, nah, that's not really or whatever. The video that I've seen a lot at the moment is Tony Tone and her fiance, him saying that he thought he needed to be at a certain level before he could, and when he finally realized that no, that wasn't the case. I'm battling that at the moment because I feel like yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you shouldn't have to be, but also the society that we are in at the moment, girls are just there's a lot of girls that want you to be at that certain level before you come to them,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a lot of girls that are accepting of you to not be the finished product, but
Mm-hmm.
and you guys will build together.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that are crazy and the ones that are not crazy are outweighing. Well, the ones that are loudest are the ones that want you to be like do
Making
everything,
more money.
making more money. So
But then you've said that you've ended relationships because of that.
not okay. It wasn't really a relationship. It was probably like a situation because it hadn't gotten to that level yet.
So you
We
didn't
were
want it to go to
dating.
that level
Yeah,
because you didn't feel
because I didn't
like.
feel like I was. Yeah.
So then I've like okay, I've been working since I was 16, right? I went to my mum. I said I need a laptop. I work in tech, right? So I was doing computer science in college, and I told my mum I need a laptop, and she's like, "Oh, well, we can't afford that right now." I was 16. I had my NI number, and I went to get a job. I was living in Kent, but my job was in Ealing Broadway, right? So I worked at Sainsbury's,
So for
Next.
those of us that aren't from London, can you tell us how long that journey is,
It's
please?
like a 2 hour journey.
Yay.
So I was going to work 2 hours away just so I can earn money to get myself a laptop, and that was at 16. So yeah, yeah, I've worked Sainsbury's, Next, Marks and Spencers. I've sold ice cream. I've been a tour guide. I've worked for my uni, and as soon as I was done with uni, I got a job. Right. So it's like I've been told that, or like I've needed stuff, and I haven't had anybody to get it for me.
Mm.
So I've always been reliant on myself to have an income or to make a certain amount of money. And me working at 16, not a lot of guys are working at 16 from 16. They would rely on their parents to give them whatever school pocket money or whatnot. So just with the guys that I met, I never really expected them to be on the same financial level as I am.
Mm.
Like even like I'll date guys and it's like they don't even have a CV yet, and I've had to create one since I was 16, and they're nervous about interviews when I experienced all of that a long time ago. Like my license, I had to get my license when I was doing a placement at work at uni, so it was a need in that moment. It's like, okay, this is a job opportunity. I don't want to limit myself. I got my license, right? So my drive has always been a lot higher than the guys that I've been with. And I've always made a lot more money than them. And it's always been a thing where I don't like, I grew up with my mom, right? My dad doesn't really, like, he's never really been a provider in my life. So I see my mom provide for me. And when she cannot, and now that I can, it's like I only have myself to rely on. So I feel like there's a certain level of drive that you have, a certain level of hustling spirit that you have when you know that you don't have anybody to fall back on. And bear in mind, I grew up in Nigeria. So it's like when I come to the UK and I can't make money, I'm not thinking about benefits. I'm not thinking, oh, there's somebody that you can go to and tell them. Even for me to ask for or to apply for scholarships was just a bit like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm begging for money now.
Mm.
So I've always had that drive, and I never really cared about what a guy made, right? But a lot of guys do care. They care. And I feel like I'm getting to the point where I feel like I cannot date a guy that's not making more than me. Not because I have an issue with it, but because I know that he would have an issue with it. So you men would say that, oh, women want the finished product, but the women that don't want the finished product, or they're not expecting you to be a finished product, you don't allow them to love you. So it's a thing where it's like we don't have any other option than to date men that make more money than us. And then when you now say stuff like, oh well, it's our household, we should both um provide, is contradictory if you're not even going to date somebody that makes more money than you. So it's like, I think this is one of the struggles with the black community. But it recently came out that Indians own more homes in the UK.
Yeah, that one too.
And it's like, we don't understand that our family values play a large role in our acquisition of wealth, right? Because if men are thinking they have to make so much money before they settle down and get married, and women are thinking the men that don't have enough money, they don't want to get married. A lot of women are actually waiting to, what's it called, to be in a relationship before they buy houses. Some of these women are ready, right? And you're also saying that men, it's not feasible for men to provide for their households. Some of these women are ready to provide for their households.
Because they're not spending money.
But then doesn't that make sense for you to then settle down with one woman rather than spend your money? You said it yourself in previous episodes that you spent money on women knowing fully well you have no reason to have you have no business with this woman.
You don't know me.
You said it yourself. I have proof, video proof,
Yeah.
HD.
That was my twin. Sorry.
He doesn't even look like you.
Yes, he does. You don't know that. We're actually identical.
Yeah, if you say so. But yeah, I think it's a conversation that we should probably still have more of. But I do think that men and women realistically should be able to find where their partner is lacking and bring them up, right? Because we're always going to have flaws. We're always going to have, like, even if you have more money now, like, you can get into the marriage and something would happen and you might lose your job, God forbid, or I don't know, layovers, like COVID happened, right? I feel like it has to be a balance, and you have to be with somebody that is with you because of who you are, and also know that they're capable of, like, finances, or just making as much money as they should be. But yeah, I think this should be an ongoing conversation. Probably have another episode about this. Yeah. But we're wrapping up today. Thank you guys for watching. It's Odun, Ayo, and Okwe. BMS Podcasts. Subscribe, like, share. But yeah, thank you.
Don't forget to hit that. Leave a comment, actually.
Yeah, leave a comment.
I want to see what you guys' opinions are like.
Yeah.
Yeah, say something. I want to see, and I'll be in the comments. If you come from me, I'll come back. These are. I'll throw hands.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye.
Bye.